President Trump has been leaning into this idea, this strategy of law and order. I'm the guy who will save you from these hordes of lawless thugs. Joe Biden does the opposite. He emboldens them. This is an argument Trump's been going with, or at the very least, this is the subtext of many of his talking points and what he's leading with. So that means Trump is kind of avoiding the debate and discussion when it comes to the economy, and also, more importantly, when it comes to COVID. So, how's this strategy working? Because, generally speaking, yes, the right is viewed as they're the law and order people, and the left is viewed as they're more the pro-protest, pro-change, pro-freedom crowd. And if this is working, it will definitely be reflected in the numbers when people are polled about these specific issues. Let's see. More cold water in CBS polls on the week of discourse about how law and order is upending the race. 30% say Biden encourages fighting. 47% say Trump is. Respondents say Biden would make them feel more safe. Biden approval on protests is higher than Trump's nationally and in Wisconsin. When it comes to, and I quote, calming down the situation, Biden is plus 10 on Trump. Plus 10. So, what that means is, in no uncertain terms, the strategy is failing. Why is the strategy failing? Guys, I think the answer is honestly very simple. Donald Trump is the chaos president. That's what he is. Now, in 2016, people wanted to reject the status quo and the establishment and business as usual. So they actively chose the chaos candidate because he was viewed as the more anti-establishment, the more outsider, the person who's going to shake things up. So they chose that. They chose the populist bomb thrower. As we now know, he's a fake populist, but they chose the populist bomb thrower. Now, today, given that we have an economy that's falling apart, given that we have a pandemic, and given that we have unrest in the streets, chaos doesn't seem as attractive anymore. And I really think Trump probably maybe even ruined his chances at re-election when he did the whole Insurrection Act thing, where he threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, which would deploy U.S. soldiers on our own streets, and then he gassed peaceful protesters in front of the White House to do a photo op holding a Bible in front of the church. That moment right there, whether or not they recognize it, was Donald Trump saying, no, I'm not the law and order candidate. I'm going to add to the chaos. I'm going to pour fuel on the fire. So it doesn't matter how often he screams about law and order, law and order, law and order, and he goes after Biden, acting like Biden is emboldening looters and rioters. Doesn't matter how often he does it. People know Donald Trump is not the candidate of calm. Donald Trump's the kind of guy to tear gas peaceful protesters, exacerbate, threaten to deploy the military, and do a photo op with a Bible in front of a church. So he's, in many ways, it's a mixed message. It's like, oh yeah, law and order, I'm the guy who cares about that. Now let everything I do further exacerbate the crisis and the problem. Now, by the way, also, an interesting fact, not in this poll, but in a previous poll, which came out like last week or the week before, is that when you poll people about their top issues, number one is COVID, number two is the economy, way down the list is crime. So even though Trump is trying to center this, and even there's a lot of news coverage about this stuff too, right? But it's not, for most Americans, it is not the thing that they care about. It's not even in the list of the top 5 or 10. It's not. Because as bad as it might look on TV, you know, most Americans are not directly impacted by what's going on in the streets. They are impacted by the economy and by COVID, for sure. So those are the top issues. So if Trump's trying to obfuscate and deflect and divert and lean into an issue where he thinks he has an advantage, but it's not going to work leaning into that issue, and you don't even have an advantage on it like you think you do. So listen, Trump is in serious, serious trouble because in 2016, I believe that his strategy was the correct strategy against Hillary, and he leaned into it, and he went hard in the paint. In 2020, his strategy against Biden is not the correct strategy. It's a terrible strategy. It's a horrendous strategy, and it's not working. It's not working. So it's getting late, guys. It's late in the fourth quarter now. That's what it is. And he's in serious, serious trouble. And Biden is just running out the clock, and it could be enough. Bar some sort of miracle, you will be saying President Biden. Trump would need to crush Biden in every single debate, and he would also need some sort of economic miracle. An economic miracle where he materially improves the lives of all Americans. Cutting UBI checks, cutting another giant stimulus check. You know? Like, he needs the debates to go perfect, material improvement for Americans across the board, and also he would need to somehow magically come across as non-Trumpian for the remainder of the election. As in, he would need to actually appear like he's a leader and he's calming down the situation and bringing people together. I don't think he has that in him. So he's in serious trouble.